Hello, everyone. Welcome to Teachly University. And we're going to be discussing today how to tap into your infinite potential, how to use your higher mental faculties and the sources and power within you to transform your life and achieve your goals and to transcend and overcome any limitations you may have been experiencing. But also, more importantly, how to tap into unseen forces outside of us, the infinite intelligence, the universe, God, natural law, energy, whatever term you want to use. We want to tap into these forces that are also within us, that if we use them, we can transform our life for the better with less effort and energy. So I want to start with a quote from Wallace D. Wattles, who says, "There is an abundance of opportunity for the man who will go with the tide. Instead of trying to swim against it, visible supply is practically inexhaustible, and the visible supply really is inexhaustible." So this quote really struck or got my attention, and it struck a chord with me because I think there is a very important lesson to be learned from this quote from Wallace D. Wattles. In that, when we are experiencing undesirable circumstances, we try to force a desired outcome. We try to work within the problem or within the challenges we are experiencing. So we try to use force and try to force an outcome to occur. And this is a result of the hustle culture that has become very popular as of late. And we see this a lot on YouTube and a lot of books and really courses, and all this sort of content has been created based on this hustle culture that you just got to work harder and harder and harder. But when it comes to working hard, what does that term mean? It's a very vague term that hasn't really been defined very well. Because how many people have actually worked hard? How often have people burned the midnight oil, worked extremely hard to try to get a desired outcome, only to fail, or even if they achieve that end result, they end up feeling burned out, exhausted, and actually worse off than they were than before achieving that goal. So rather than trying to force an outcome, to tap into our infinite potential, meaning that there's a number of mental states we can access, a number of perceptions that we can use to re-explore reality and to try to shape it into our liking. We can tap into these forces that can really help us overcome and achieve what it is that we want by going with the tide, by accepting that whatever it is you're feeling right now is part of the process. If you're feeling frustrated, disappointed, that's okay. Accept it for what it is and treat yourself as if you're your own best friend, and be kind to yourself and accept the fact that this is what you've been feeling, and therefore pivot and feel as if the goal or desire has already here now, that your dreams have already become true. Thus, you begin to change your mental state toward the type of person who would attract these things into his or her life. So it's going with the tide, going with flow. And we're going to explore flow a little bit more in this lecture. So it's William Walker Atkinson who said, "I have felt the unseen hand, been guided by it, and felt a kind but steady urge in the direction which it knew to be best, though my intellect failed to see the beauty of the road toward which the hand was directing me." So when it comes to unseen forces, we have unseen or unused powers that are within us that are also part of this universal intelligence or energy or natural law that exists. That if we impress upon it what it is that we want with such feeling and intensity, then it has to express itself in some way. Because remember, we talked about with the subconscious that whatever we impress in the subconscious has to express itself in some way. So if we are impressing into our subconscious negative thoughts, negative ideas, and self-limiting beliefs, that's going to express itself in some way. And that expresses itself through frustration, disappointment, fear, and feelings that make us feel helpless or make us feel like victims. And that can certainly create more undesirable circumstances. So, and notice here, though my intellect failed to see the beauty of the road toward which the hand was directing me, to paraphrase a quote from Atkinson, relying on the intellect alone will force you to fail to see the possibilities that exist. Now, rather than trying to force an outcome or trying to know how every step along the way towards a goal that you wish to achieve, it is to feel the wish fulfilled and to tap into our intuition and to recognize and observe and become aware of this intelligence and this unseen hand that exists that is guiding you. And all of us have access to it, but unfortunately for many of us, we are not aware of it or choose not to use it. It is important to listen to this unseen hand, this intuition that is within us, that if we use and listen to, again, why meditation is so important, we can then listen and make better decisions and choices that are much more consequential into improving our life in some way. To tap into this infinite intelligence, then, we can't solely rely on the intellect, but feeling. And as I said before in my previous lectures, imagine that you were a child again. Use your imagination and think of new horizons, new possibilities you may not have thought of before. And again, don't worry about how you will achieve these goals. Envision what it is that you would like to see in your life. So to quote Yogi Ramachandra from his book, The Mind Power, The Secret of Mental Magic, Yogi says that all my investigations have led me away from the idea of a dead material universe tossed about by various forces to that of a universe which is absolutely all force, life, soul, thought, or whatever name we choose to call it. Every atom, molecule, plant, animal, or planet is only an aggregation of organized unit forces held in place by stronger forces, thus holding them for a time latent, though teeming with inconceivable power. All life on our planet is, so to speak, just on the outer fringe of this infinite ocean of force. The universe is not half dead, but all alive. So, going back to Wallace D. Wattles' quote, where you go with the tide, what Wallace D. Wattles is saying here is we must go with this force, this intelligence. And rather than trying to force an outcome, we simply become part of this intelligence in some way by using our feeling, by acknowledging that creation is already done, that what we want is already here, and that it's just a matter of time before it manifests itself in our physical environment. And when we start to pivot and change our mental states into possibility, this will also inspire more creative, more consequential actions, where the reactions that we take are in line and congruent with what it is that we want and congruent with this intelligence. And by becoming congruent and one with this intelligence, we therefore unleash this infinite potential within us to achieve desirable goals and to overcome and to just become a better person and live a better life. So the universe is not half dead, but all alive. This is a living, breathing universe that is all around us if we just simply become aware of it and observe a more desirable reality into existence. And this does take hard work into observing this new reality, because we tend to, and I'm of course guilty of this, tend to react to our environment and allow our emotions and thoughts and mental states to be influenced by what happens outside of us. The hard work then is to stay firm in what it is that we want and to stay firm on the vision of a better future. So once again, to quote William Walker Atkinson, he says, desire firmly, confident, and earnestly, but not half-hearted in your demands and desires. Claim and demand the whole thing and feel confident that it will work out into material objectivity and reality. I think of it, dream of it, and always long for it. You must learn to want it the worst way, learn to want it hard enough. You can attain and obtain many things by wanting them hard enough. The trouble is with most of us is that we do not want things hard enough. We mistake vague cravings and wish for earnest longing, demanding desire and want. Get to desire and demand a thing just as you demand and desire your daily meals. That is wanting it the worst way. This is merely a hint, surely. So, to then tap into this infinite potential within us, we must know what it is that we want and be clear about it. And as I said, don't worry about how you're going to achieve this particular goal or goals and whatever it is you would like when it comes to your finances, your spirituality, your health, your relationships, your career, etc. But be clear about what it is that you want, demand of it, and insist upon it and focus on it without worrying how you're going to achieve it, because as I said, creation is complete. What you want is already here now, because what you want really is to feel a certain way, to feel happy, abundant, powerful, joyful, to feel a genius, to feel loved. Those mental states are accessible to you now. And the reason we want particular goals is because of the way we would feel if we achieved it. So why wait to achieve that goal, but to feel a certain way now? And demand, desire what it is that you want with feeling and intensity, not to intellectualize it, but to feel the wish fulfilled. So it's important that we don't become vague about what it is that we want. If we just want to say, well, I want to be wealthy, don't be afraid to be specific. Perhaps you want to make a certain amount of money within a period of time. Think of a number and focus on that number. If you want a relationship, think of the ideal person you want to be with, or the kind of friends that you would like to have. Be as detailed as you wish. And if you don't know every single specificity or specifics of what you want, that's okay. But at least have a vision and a goal to move towards. Without goals, then life becomes meaningless and becomes frankly boring. And we don't change and grow. So think about that. Think about what it is that you want and feel what it would be like if what you want is already here now. What would it feel like if what you want was possible? That exercise alone can unleash a whole host of possibilities you never even have imagined or experienced before. So to quote Joe Dispenza from You're the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter, he says that to be happy with yourself in the present moment while maintaining a dream of your future is a grand recipe for manifestation. When you feel so whole that you no longer care whether it will happen, that's when amazing things materialize before your eyes. I've learned that being whole is the perfect state of creation. I've seen this time and time again and witnessing true healings in people all over the world. They feel so complete that they no longer want, no longer feel lack, and no longer try to do it themselves. They let go, and to their amazement, something greater than they are responds, and they laugh at the simplicity of the process. So it is going with the tide, as Wallace D. Wattles said before, by living in the present moment. And when you live in the present moment, and I found this, that when you're focusing on your breath, focusing on just the moment itself, you're not trying to force an outcome, not trying to stay busy for the sake of it, and accept where you are, and to try to let go, accept things as they are. When you do that, something happens. And I've noticed this, that I recall this when I was on vacation recently, where I would be on vacation and all of a sudden people I were trying to contact for business or for personal relationships, etc., would just contact me out of the blue without really me taking much action. So if we are to then accomplish and to experience more life and to create, it is time then that we let go of this whole process of trying to force an outcome and to live in the present moment where there is no tomorrow, there is no past, there's only right now. And we stay in the present moment by entering states of flow, where we become much more deliberate and entering these states more often, by doing things that give us joy, or by changing our perceptions of work, whereby work becomes a flow activity, where we enjoy the process itself, where we're not worried about necessarily the outcome, but we are focused on doing our best and knowing that we can improve and get better. But by letting go, this simple process of accepting things as they are and living in the present moment, That's when magic begins to happen. When we enter these flow states, that's when creation seems to take over, or this infinite intelligence where somehow things start to occur, synchronicities, new opportunities, new experiences we never even imagined before, when we simply let go and live in the present moment. So once again, I quote Joe Dispenza: most change starts with a simple process of something outside of us altering something inside of us. If you begin the inward journey and start to change your inner world of thoughts and feelings, it should create an improved state of well being. If you keep repeating the process of meditation, then in time, epigenetic changes should begin to alter your outer presentation and you become your own placebo. So, what Dispenza is saying here is that in order for us to change our health, to change our external environment, it starts from going within. We can't solve our problems by working within those problems, but by becoming something more and outgrowing our problems, where we focus more on the solutions. By living in the present moment. That's why meditation is so important, is that meditation allows us the chance to stay in the present moment, to stop reacting, at least for a period of time, to what happens outside of us, and focus on the inner vision of the kind of life we want to live. And by doing this enough times, by focusing on the cycle of thoughts and feelings, where by focusing on more empowering thoughts and more empowering feelings of gratitude, excitement, energy, joy, etc., and by letting go through acceptance and being in the present moment and being in these states of flow, we get to see these changes occur in our external environment. And we thus then can become our own placebo, where we can heal ourselves from whatever mental or physical anguish we may be experiencing. And this is a difficult exercise, but a simple one. But it takes time and mastery in order for us to overcome whatever it is that we're experiencing in our environment. So to quote Stephen Collar from his book, The Rise of Superman, Decoding the Science of Achievement, and again, I apologize here for I cut off the title of the book itself in the PowerPoint slide, but this is one of my favorite books, which I recommend you read. He says that the happiest people on earth worked hard for their fulfillment. They didn't just have the most peak experiences or flow. They had devoted their lives to having these experiences often, as Simmons and Hiley explained in his 1986 book, Creativity, going to extreme lengths to seek them out. It was clear from talking to them that what kept them motivated was the quality of the experience they felt when they were involved with the activity. The feeling didn't come when they were relaxing, when they were taking drugs or alcohol, or when they were consuming the expensive privileges of wealth. Rather, it often involved painful, risky, difficult activities that stretched a person's capacity, involved an element of novelty and discovery. So then to achieve states of flow and to tap into these unseen forces, we have to work hard in achieving this sort of fulfillment. We have to be deliberate and intentional with how we live. It can't just happen by accident. We have to become aware of these forces, aware of what it is that we're experiencing, aware of our current circumstances, and make the decisions and actions to change them, to change these undesirable circumstances to more desirable ones. And that takes hard work. And we must be deliberate with what it is that we do on a daily basis. And we achieve the ultimate experience of human existence, not through resting or through taking drugs or alcohol, as Kotler says here, but when we are immersed in difficult activities that challenge us. And I think this is where sometimes when discussing the law of attraction or manifestation, etc., misses the mark, is that to overcome and to achieve what we want, it does require embracing and taking on some difficult activities that stretches a person's capacity and skill set. And that now those activities can simply mean overcoming the internal limitations that or self-limiting beliefs that have been holding us back for a long time. And that can be difficult, even risky. But by doing so, then we can enter these states much more often, these states of flow. And when we do so, life becomes much more enjoyable. And we're not beholden to material possessions or external or other materialistic or external events and circumstances that occur outside of us. That we are not enslaved by our circumstances, rather than our vision and our own inner reality can shape our external reality. And we're no longer beholden to the events that occur in our lives. So Charles F. Hannell, in his book, The Master Key System, he says that nature compels us all to move through life. We cannot remain stationary however much we wished. Every right-thinking person wants not merely to move through life like a sound-producing, perambulating plant, but to develop, to improve, and to continue the development mentally to the close of physical life. This development can occur only through the improvement of the quality of individual thought and the ideals, actions, and conditions that arise as a consequence. Hence, a study of the creative processes of thought and how to apply them is of supreme importance to each one of us. This knowledge is the means whereby the volition of human life on earth may be hastened and uplifted in the process. Humanity ardently seeks the truth and explores every avenue of it. So when studying the creative process, there's cause and effect, that our thoughts and actions can determine what occurs in our reality. And if we are to shape more desirable circumstances, we must embrace growth and move towards what it is that we want, that we become that person we've always wanted to be. To not just wish for something to happen, but to think and act in ways that produce these results. And it starts then with simply accepting whatever feelings or emotions you're experiencing, and to embrace kindness and love towards yourself, and to become your own best friend, and to work on yourself and make yourself a priority, and make success and abundance a priority. Rather than focusing, say, on time management, we should focus on how we can achieve the most amount of abundance in our life. How can we create the best life possible? How can we help others? And how can we add joy and abundance into our own life and the lives of others as well? So then, once again, to quote Charles F. Hannell in the Master Key System, he says that you will readily see that what we think determines the quality of mind, and that the quality of mind in turn determines our ability and mental capacity. And you can readily understand that the improvement in our ability will naturally be followed by increase in attainment and the greater control of circumstances. It will thus be seen that natural laws work in a perfectly natural, harmonious manner. Everything seems to just happen. If you want any evidence of this fact, simply compare results of your efforts in your own life when your actions were prompted by high ideals and when you had selfish or ulterior motives in mind. You will need no further. So this is what really stands out with this quote for me, is that it will thus be seen that natural laws work in a perfectly natural and harmonious manner. Recall Wallace D. Wattles, to live with flow, to live in the flow of life. This unseen force that exists. If it is to help us, we must tap into it and not try to force an outcome, but to be in flow, to live in the present moment. And when we live in the present moment, when we don't try to force an outcome, but focus on what it is that we want with such intensity that we feel that what we want is already here. And we have the utmost faith and confidence that will happen. Results seem to effortlessly occur in your life. There seems to be harmony and natural order when we simply live in the present moment and become the person we've always wanted to be. Circumstances seems to change. Things just start to happen, and new synchronicities, new opportunities seem to occur. And this is a subjective exercise. It takes time to experiment and see this for yourself, but you'll see then that when you let go and stop trying so hard, somehow then things begin to happen. Results occur that you never thought were possible. Everything just seems to happen, as Hannell says. And that occurs then when we stop trying to force an outcome, but to live in the moment, to live our best life right now, regardless of what happens outside of us. And to communicate with this intelligence that exists, the universal mind, infinite intelligence, that is one also with our own imagination. And when we do so, we can see then that life no longer becomes a struggle. And life truly becomes magical because we've now finally accessed this infinite power that is within us that can truly astound us. Thank you so much for watching this lecture. I'll see you next time. Take care.